What is up, party people? Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a long time and I say this every time, but I did mention last time there's a lot of changes that are happening. With that change has come a lot of organization and everything you can imagine, going from SoCal to just another state in general and across the country in this case. But in the meantime, I have not forgotten about that thing. Today what we're talking about is short shifters. Now, I've made the comment before that the best bang for your buck is the OEM shifter mod. Video for that will be up here. And I still to this day, I say that is the best bang for your buck mod for this thing because it's a free mod, right? And I haven't really been impressed with many shifters out there. I know the B&M, if you can still find it, $150, $200, something like that. Those end up rattling over time. Some people get lucky enough where it doesn't rattle for them. But for me and the experiences that I've had with it, I had one before, long time ago, probably in the first 10 years of owning my red car. And that started rattling, got rid of that, and short shifter mod has been it since then. But I hear that the latest and greatest, besides the pace setter, which you can adjust the throws on, the latest and greatest is the Lasalvia shifter. Now, from my understanding, it's just a modified shifter of the standard one that you can find now. Let me show this to you. What he's done is modified this base. He's machined it so it accepts a US made bearing in there. If I can zoom in far enough, I'd show you, but it does say it's a US made bearing. So this is not going to crap out on you like those other ones do. And it's tight. Even just moving it in the base, it's tight.
Yes, you are tight like a tiger.
He's also machined these bottom collars so they fit perfectly, they fit tight, they fit right. And that's really gonna improve the shifting on the car. I'm not saying it's bad, but I do wanna get it to where, hey, it's optimal. Again, that is a stock horsepower car, and the more that I can get out of the driving experience is more important for me. I really don't care for high horsepower, 200, 300, 400 horsepower in a Sentra. Really, most of the 300 and up horsepower Sentras usually don't get driven too hard and spend most of their time on jack stands or at Cars and Coffee. And
what the fuck?
And that's not what I'm about to do. But this one I want to daily drive more, and I have been while I've been here in East Tennessee. From there, to improve the shifting, so I'm not only gonna let you guys know how much I like or dislike this thing, and here's all the nice hardware that is included with these things. Put that aside, I contacted a company by the name of, obviously, Gizfab. Now, what this is this is that shifter yoke that bolts up to the transmission on a Sentra 200SX, P10, P11, 2.0 SE. I don't know if it'll fit the 2.0 SE because it's a different shifter linkage, and I don't know if it'll fit the older style P11, or excuse me, the newer style P11 01 and up, or 02 and up, that has well, actually, you know what? It's gonna be 2000 and up that has the 70V box because it might be a different yoke. But for the 32V guys that still have stock linkage, this is gonna work. So what this is the connection point of the linkage to the transmission. Now, on the standard yoke, it'll be like nylon bushings from factory. Those nylon bushings wear out over time, so you're gonna have some slop in it. Now, there is somebody out there that does sell the bushings, which would be, if I can do this one-handed, which would look something like this. They'd be plastic and I believe 3D printed. My thing was, those will probably wear out over time as well. And to go a step further, we all know this guy, and this bushing sits at the back of the linkage and it wears out over time. You might be able to see the cracks in this one. It usually starts wearing out here and here. It creates a lot of slop in the shifter itself. So what I'll do with this is I'll swap it over to a solid one. This guy right here is made by a good guy on Facebook. His name is Dave Singh. He makes these out of solid billet piece, and this will replace this right here. Now, the good thing about this is it is slotted on each side, so you are able to make the adjustments just like you are on the OEM one. It is the correct diameter across as the OEM one. I've seen some that are a little slimmer, and it does affect in my opinion, it would affect how the shift linkage sits. What I will tell you is one thing. This being a 32V shifter, okay, or this is off of a 32V stock Sentra bushing, the diameter of this hole is different than the one that is on the 70V shift linkages. This bolt right here, that is a weighted bolt that goes on the back of this, it actually goes through here like this, okay? This bolt is different, this bolt right here is different on the 32V and on the 70V linkages. So the bolt diameter is also different. So it's actually thinner on the 70V bolts, but this Dave Singh piece is the correct diameter on the inside that'll fit just fine. So we're gonna be using this guy. Thanks again to Dave Singh. Thanks to Gizfab. Thanks to Lasalvia, this L2 shifter. I'll put the links in the description for where you can purchase this. You can purchase this. And I don't know if Dave Singh makes these, but I can definitely add additional links to where you can purchase something that's very similar to that. Let's take the linkage off, and as I can show you guys, this is what the current setup at the moment. So this is just the shifter mod with a B&M shift knob because it is weighted. I like the feel of the weighted shift knob. Definitely helps with the shifting, and a rubber boot. So let's go ahead and take that apart, and I might not take you piece by piece on this, but I will show you the key points on what exactly you need to do to take this off. And let's just go ahead and start by taking the shift knob off. All right, so once you've taken that shift knob and cover off, really all you need to do up here is remove that, I believe, 10mm and that 10mm. And the other two are reverse set, so they're pointing down there right here. Those are you're gonna get from the bottom side. There is gonna be a heat shield on the bottom of this. It's held down by 4 10mm bolts. And you'll take those down, the heat shield will come down. A little more difficult if you have a 3-inch exhaust, 2.5-inch exhaust, because the space gets limited. But other than that, that's pretty much what it's gonna be once I'm able to access the bottom. And I'll go ahead and take the whole linkage out. And we have to make a we have to disconnect the linkage from the transmission at the front. And I'll show you guys what that looks like. So here we are on the bottom of the car. We're gonna have to go ahead and disconnect the linkage from here. So again, this is a 12mm nut, 12 size head on the bolt on the top. Remove that, that'll drop from here. And then we'll be able to go ahead and trace it back to where the shift linkage is at the back at the shifter. We'll remove everything else from there, and we'll keep plugging away. I just want to go ahead and show you guys, as the camera focuses, where that yoke actually fits, and I'll show you the differences once I take this off. So I pulled out the shift linkage. This is what we're looking at. This is the end that connects to the shifter here, and as you can see, the OEM shifter has like nylon bushings. Again, I believe Matt Feigl sells the nylon reprints, and you can go ahead and replace that. But here's this portion here. You see how not very tight, very loose. And that portion on this guy, quite literally, well, that's me putting my weight on it, and it still doesn't move. So this thing is gonna be tight in there, and it should feel crisp and all that. This is the other end. This is the end that the Gizfab piece is going to replace. This piece right here has these nylon portions as well. Again, Matt Feigl sells those. You can, if you want to just replace this, it definitely is a hell of a lot cheaper than this, but have I ever done anything cheap? I don't think so. So I went with this. This will completely replace all this and remove any slop that's in here. Now, this has to be ground off, this top portion right here. It is that way on both sides on this shift linkage, as you can see. So I'll grind it off one side, and that whole assembly will come out. And it's out. Just took a little persuasion from a screwdriver, really, just to pry it out. But this is it. It's out. As you can see, there's a sleeve in between it, just like the front portion of it. But again, this portion will be replaced by that portion. And it looks like a Nissan micro linkage is the same as a B13 2.0, B14 2.0, B15 maybe 2.0, P11, I'm sure 99 for sure will fit because it's a 32 V-Trans. So I think, yeah, I think it should all fit the same, to be honest with you. But here you go, that's what it is. It's a stupid little piece right here. So of course the bushings are missing, they're right there, but that should replace that. We should get crisper shifting out of this thing yet. So I want to remove as much slop as possible. I also have a brand new spring for the shifter that I'm gonna go ahead and put in. So everything new, everything's going new in this thing. All right, so I ran into a little bit of a snag. Nothing too big, nothing we can't handle. We're car people here, right? We can handle these things. So let me show you exactly what we ran into. So here in the other linkage portion, the stabilizer portion, the hole here where the shifter actually goes through was too small, and it was impacting a couple corners, but nothing around file wouldn't come to save. I just went ahead and started filing, slowly removing a little bit of material here and there, and now, boom, we're in. So I'm gonna go ahead and bolt this up for you guys and then continue on the progress. So far it's been quite an uneventful installation. Everything's pretty straightforward. It's just having access to these things that can be a pain. Other than that, not too bad. Oh yeah, shout out to Lance there in Florida. He makes these brackets for an Element fire extinguisher. If you want one, you can contact him. I'll put his information up here. All right guys, shifter's in. Man, what a pain to get that in. I will tell you, I'm not very happy with the shifter at the moment. I think this is gonna take not only just the driving experience, but it's also gonna take me breaking it in. From my understanding, this thing is not for the faint of heart. As you can hear, like I'm giving it, I've had to add this shift extender, which I had sitting around. First, second, third, fourth, fifth. I don't know if that's going even in reverse or not, but there's like no play there. Holy, excuse me. It's, yeah, not very much what I expected at all. I expected smooth, but not. I mean, there is no slop in this thing, and the problem is the tolerance, maybe just me, the tolerance is so tight, like it's not coming back to center off the return spring. So you want it to come to center on its own. But what I'm gonna have to do for you guys is I'm gonna go ahead and drive it, give you my driving impressions, and then I'll give you a long-term review on it. So I'll try to drive it around as much as I can. I don't know how pleasurable it's gonna be to drive this thing around as it is. I did leave the heat shield underneath off because I might go back to my stock shifter mod and leave the Gizfab production piece in the front. Man, I can tell you, this thing is a workout. So I'll give you my driving impressions, and then I'll give you a long-term impression on this thing, because it's not fair for me to judge it based on just its install today. It may need a break-in period. It may need to loosen up a little bit over time, which I've heard people say it does loosen up over time. So I'll do that, and then I'll get back to you guys. So let's see what it's like on the road. All right, so impressions while I drive it. It's stiff. No pun intended. It is quite hard to get it in and out of gear. There's absolutely no play in the shifter now, but man, it is, and I'm grinding gears, especially going into fifth. This thing's not fun. It's not fun at all. I mean, I could find fourth, but to find fifth is a pain. You can feel it grinding to go into fifth, and that's not a good thing. I don't want to wear out gears sooner than I have to. I'm just not happy with that. it's really difficult. Like I mentioned to you guys, it's hard to find center again in neutral to be able to go ahead and shift confidently. You're definitely not going to roll through the gears in this. You're definitely not going to roll through the gears in this. This is going to take some while, I hope, to break in. And as it does, I hope it gets smoother and softer, because at the moment, man, this thing is way too tight. It's not enjoyable at all. I don't know. I'm going to drive it around for a couple 100 miles and hope that it breaks in. If it does not, I'll let you guys know. We're here again and continuing or resolving the issues with the L2 shifter. At this point, I'm gonna say working with Leo has been fantastic. From what we can understand, or what we can tell, is the shifter that I received from him, the bearing may have failed. And I can show you guys why. All right, so here's both shifters. One of them being the original one that I received with what we believed to be the fail bearing, and one of them being the upgraded one. What I had told Leo is, as you can see, this portion right here just does not, it's very, very stiff. I'm putting pure thumb pressure, and it's way too much resistance. And even if I try to shake the shifter a little bit, see if you can just see that. I mean, I don't know why. See, there's almost no movement, and I swear I've been doing my shake weight exercises. That's it. But this is way, way, way too stiff of a shifter. And usually a stock shifter moves quite freely inside its pivot. Now, what Leo went ahead and did is he found a bearing that was way less restrictive. So if you can see, this one just falls under its own weight. See that? You guys can see I'm doing a one pinky movement here, but there is no play in it whatsoever. To be fair to this product, what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna remove the Gizfab U-joint. I actually have my original U-joint right here. I'm gonna put this in because it's not fair that the Gizfab piece adds a little stiffness to the shifter, which more than likely exacerbates how tight this is, making it even worse than it should be. And so I want to give the free shifting one, this much smoother version. So I think this would be like the street version. This would be like the full race version. I'm going to give this a full chance by using the stock U-joint and putting that back in there. So we'll do that today. We'll put this back in. We'll put this shifter in, and I'll give you my thoughts on this. As somebody just decided to chop trees today next door. That's what happens when you live next to farms. So I'll go ahead and put this in, give you guys my thoughts on this. As you can see, as I drop myself into the seat, we got, well, I don't know if I mentioned this previously because I haven't edited the previous video yet, but got a brand new boot, so I'll put that in. I didn't really like the accordion look, but this has felt better. I did have a weighted knob on here previously, but I just didn't like the way it felt. But this, see this? You don't realize how important this is until you don't have it anymore. Right there, every gear is right where it's supposed to be. Man, reverse. Yeah, this is it. This is the sauce right here. This is it. It feels a little more mechanical than the OEM shifter mod. That I will say. I haven't driven it yet, but man, that feels that there's no up and down slop that the OEM one can have when it's in there. I mean, it is solid up and down. Man, that's it. That's it, Leo. I think we've found the winner because there's absolutely no restriction to it. See, it self-centers and it centers to the perfect position. That's awesome. That's much better. This is a massive improvement over what it was previously. I mean, this is one thing I will say. At the bottom of the shifter where it connects to the linkage, there's a bolt that goes through the shifter. and the metal sleeves. You will have to open that area on the linkage itself. If the bushings on this were a little bit smaller, I believe it's a 36 millimeter distance between bushing to bushing, end to end, OEM. So if it were that depth, or excuse me, that length, then it would be, yeah, there would be a lot less fighting this thing when you put it in. But as far as it goes now, I mean, yeah, man, that's money. I did use the OEM U-joint. I did put the Gizfab U-joint in there as well, but I will say I much more enjoy this car with the OEM U-joint down there over having the Gizfab one in there. This right here feels OEM plus. Fantastic. I do have some bushings coming in for the OEM U-joint that I've been working on, and those I will swap out with some new Delrin ones. So once I put those in, that should crisp that up even just a little bit more. Again, OEM plus is what I'm always going for when it comes to this stuff, but man, this golden. All right, let's go ahead and take this thing on a test drive. Finally, the shifter's in. I can finally drive it. This is the final time I'm gonna do this and give you guys my honest opinion. If it's worth it, you know, as far as the price tag on it, it's a little over $200, and I've been driving it now for, I would have to say, somewhere around 60 miles. Not too much, but I can give you an honest impression as far as how I like it. I think what's really going to be important with this shifter is your preference as far as shift knob weight. As you guys saw, I went with something that's a cheap Battlecraft knockoff, just because that's what I had sitting around. What I also like about this shifter is there's no, again, I had mentioned that before, no up and down play on it. The OEM fulcrum on the OEM base has a little bit of up and down play to it. That always bothered me, but this has absolutely none. This feels rock solid, feels good. I'm able to find all my gears now. I don't have to hunt for gears, and I think this is going to be the best feeling short shifter you've ever felt, unless you have, like I said, a pace setter reminiscent of the B&M without the rattles. B&M was always, you know, people always said, oh, it rattles, but this, it's very, very promising, very, very good. Again, no issues shifting, no issues finding gears, and I love that. So two things: is it worth it, and who is it for? I'm gonna say it's worth it to anybody who wants to go ahead and buy it, right? In the sense of, it's kind of a subjective question. It's worth it to you if you don't want to go with the OEM shifter mod, which I have a video too, which a lot of you have enjoyed over the past couple of years. It's worth it if you don't want to do that mod and you just want to go to something that's superior to that. And it's worth it to those who want to have like more of a mechanical feel, because this is way more direct. This is the combination of OEM plus and very, very, very much daily drivable. The original one with all the friction in the bearing, that one was absolutely a no-go for me as far as daily drivable. But yeah, it's worth it. It's worth the price. I mean, if this thing never rattles and it stays consistent this way, that bearing stays as smooth as it is. Obviously it should, right? If you greased it right and you have all the heat shielding underneath, not too much grime to get to it, man, this thing is awesome. And who is this for? I think this shifter is for everybody, again, who's looking for that OEM plus feel out of a shifter, and it's not really going to break the bank. To today's standards, 220 bucks isn't too much. I'm not saying I'm rich or anything, but $220, not crazy price, reasonably priced, especially since Leo himself machines all these parts, and the bearing parts he sources the highest quality bearings. And you're also supporting somebody in the community as well. This is something we don't have. A lot of times I test a lot of products out, and people don't understand how much money and time it takes to test these things out. And Leo doing a lot of this, and myself even just giving him some feedback on this really helps everybody. Shout out to Leo again. Fantastic guy to work with, fantastic guy as far as product support and replying to all my questions. I having an answer for all my questions. And yeah, so if you like content like this, like and subscribe. This has been a long video, but it's been of a process of over a month and a half to get this done for you guys, as far as, you know, shipping things back and forth and shipping snafus in between. Thanks guys, keep supporting your community vendors. Peace.